in the heart of the Sahara, where scorching sands stretch as far as the eye can see, an ancient African civilization once thrived against all odds. This is the story of the Garamantes, a people who mastered the art of survival in one of the world's harshest environments. Imagine a time when the Sahara was not just an endless sea of sand, but a landscape dotted with lush oases, bustling cities, and fertile farmlands. This was the world of the Garamantes, who flourished in what is now modern-day Libya from around 400 BCE to 400 CE. But how did they manage to build a thriving civilization in a place where water is more precious than gold? The secret lay beneath their feet. Deep under the Sahara's burning surface, vast reservoirs of ancient water lay trapped in porous sandstone, sealed away for millennia. This fossil water, as it's called, was the key to the Garamantes' survival and success. But tapping into these underground aquifers was no easy feat. It required ingenuity, determination, and a deep understanding of hydrology. Enter the foggara, also known as a qanat. These remarkable structures were the lifelines of Garamantean civilization. Picture long, gently sloping tunnels, painstakingly dug by hand, stretching for miles across the desert. These underground channels tapped into the aquifers and used gravity to bring water to the surface, where it could be used for drinking, bathing, and most importantly, irrigation. The scale of this engineering marvel is hard to comprehend. Over 750 kilometers of these irrigation tunnels were constructed, snaking their way beneath the Saharan sands. It was a monumental undertaking, requiring generations of workers and a level of organization that speaks to the sophistication of Garamantean society. With this reliable water source, the impossible became possible. Crops began to sprout from the desert soil. Date palms, wheat, and barley thrived where once there was only sand. The Garamantes were able to support a growing population, build permanent settlements, and establish a complex society in a place where nomadic life had long been the only option. At the heart of this network of oases and farmlands stood Garama, the capital city of the Garamantes. Here, multi-story buildings rose from the desert, streets bustled with trade and commerce, and a unique culture blossomed. But Garama was just one jewel in a crown of settlements that stretched across the Sahara, each sustained by the life-giving water flowing through the foggaras. The Garamantes' mastery of water didn't just allow them to survive, it made them a force to be reckoned with. Their control over these vital water sources gave them power and influence far beyond their immediate territory. They became key players in trans-Saharan trade, linking sub-Saharan Africa with the Mediterranean world. Caravans laden with gold, ivory, and slaves from the south passed through Garamantean lands on their way to the coast. In return, goods from the Roman world flowed back across the desert. The Garamantes weren't just passive middlemen in this trade, they were active participants, using their wealth and technological know-how to build a formidable civilization. Their power and independence didn't go unnoticed. The expanding Roman Empire, always hungry for new territories and resources, cast its eye southward. But the Garamantes, protected by their harsh environment and sustained by their water management skills, were able to resist Roman control. They remained a proudly independent African kingdom, trading with Rome, but never bowing to its authority. For centuries, the Garamantes thrived, their cities growing, their influence expanding. But like all great civilizations, they faced challenges that would ultimately lead to their downfall. The very source of their success, the fossil water aquifers, was also their greatest vulnerability. As the centuries passed, the water levels in the underground reservoirs began to drop. The foggaras that had once flowed freely now struggled to bring water to the surface. Crops withered, populations dwindled, and the great cities of the Garamantes began to fade. By around 400 CE, the Garamantean civilization had collapsed. The desert reclaimed the land, burying the remnants of this once great African kingdom beneath its sands. For centuries, their story was lost to time. known only through scattered references in Roman texts and local legends. But the legacy of the Garamantes lives on, not just in the ruins that archaeologists are now uncovering, but in the lessons their story holds for us today. In an age of climate change and growing water scarcity, the tale of the Garamantes serves as both an inspiration and a warning. Their ingenuity in harnessing scarce water resources shows us what human determination and creativity can achieve, even in the most challenging environments. But their ultimate fate reminds us of the fragility of civilizations that rely on non-renewable resources. As we face our own environmental challenges, the story of the Garamantes urges us to think carefully about how we use our precious water resources. It reminds us that even the mightiest civilizations can fall if they don't live in harmony with their environment. The sands of the Sahara may have swallowed the cities of the Garamantes, but their story endures. It's a testament to human resilience, a celebration of African ingenuity, and a cautionary tale about the delicate balance between civilization and nature. As we look to the future, perhaps we can learn from these ancient masters of the desert, finding ways to thrive in our changing world while respecting the limits of our environment. In the end, the legacy of the Garamantes is not just a fascinating chapter in African history. It's a mirror held up to our own civilization, challenging us to consider how we'll be remembered thousands of years from now. Will we be known as the people who learned to live sustainably on our planet? Or will our great cities, like those of the Garamantes, one day lie buried beneath the sands of time?